we all ready to get into it then, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it then.
Yeah. All right, so this is BBL Lab, and today we're doing the BBL Roundtable. So we've got two members of the Below the Rim podcast. Say hello.
Yes. Evening all.
Hello, everyone.
And then we've got Rock's News.
Hi guys.
And then we've got Eagles Basketball Fix.
Hello.
And then the Hooper's Voice.
Come on, guys.
So today we've got a couple of topics, and to start off, we'll all do our league predictions. So yeah, who does everyone think is going to win it to start off?
I think everyone should have the same answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Manchester Giants.
Oh yeah, Giants in the top, yeah.
What are you talking about, Marcel? You should know better than that.
I wish we would be up there, but
London Lions.
yeah, it's got to be the Lions, I think.
No, yeah, London Lions, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
But Newcastle could be clipping
Yeah.
at the heels. Plymouth could also be clipping at the heels.
It's basically the Royals in Plymouth, isn't it? Near enough. A lot of the old Royals guys are there.
Yeah, I mean, as you know what, the host of Below the Rim, Pablo's the game announced, the commentator for Plymouth, and a big fan. And he is, Josh, how excitable is he right now?
Slightly deluded.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he's got a point, though. I mean, the Raiders will be the closest team, I think. And that's no disrespect to the Riders or the Eagles, because those two teams, most experienced teams in the British basketball league on the Sheffield. But Raiders, in terms of their backcourt with a player like Andrew Lawrence, if he's healthy all season, that's the only team I could see coming close to challenging the London Lions this year. But look at the talent. London keeps those players. There's no one that will come close to challenging them. And I say all 4 trophies, they would win the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Nobody
Go
can
on.
disagree with that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if anyone can actually challenge them. Like, if they keep the same roster, I don't see them losing the game.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, like, the only reason they wouldn't lose the game is probably because of them, not because someone actually beat them, but they beat themselves in a sense. I don't see a team like that losing to anyone. Because these teams that we've said all have good pieces, but every piece they have is an elite piece at London. So I don't really see anybody matching up. Maybe they might lose a game, but when it comes to the trophy, the cup, and the playoffs, I don't even see anyone winning anything except for them. And no one even coming close.
I mean, it's like you say, bro. I mean, to say that they've got all the pieces is an understatement. But the way they've recruited this summer, if they lose a piece, they've got a good enough piece to take the spot.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. And they've got enough money.
Yeah. I mean, they are such a deep squad this season. If it all stays together and goes to plan, they're going to be scary. I agree with you, though. I think that they're going to. I said it on our show. They might even go unbeaten. But what we did say also was there's that always that thing. It's like for you young guys back in the 90s. Did you guys watch The Last Dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma, did you?
Yeah, I watched a bit of it. I don't watch the full thing, but yeah, I watched
Okay, so the Chicago Bulls of '96 broke the record for most wins in the season, and they looked unbeatable. And they'd slip up now and again to teams they had no business losing to. So maybe London will have a year like that, where they'll come up to Manchester or a team that's going to be fighting to get into the playoffs and slip up. Every team has an off night, and every team has their great night every season. So, they look unbeatable, but nobody's unbeatable. So, who knows? I think it'd be amazing if they did go throughout the whole season without losing that.
Well, I can say I'm gutted that they lost to Neptunus last week. It's especially how they lost, which I was quite frustrating. But
yeah, I mean, Josh, we talked about it over the group chat. What was your take on the loss? Because I felt that not only was there a terrible call at the end of that game, they kind of lost it themselves in a way.
Yeah, they did lose it themselves because you think about it, going into the fourth quarter, they had all the momentum going for themselves. They're up by 5 points. Remember, that is a weak Neptunus Klaipeda team. The first time I'd commentated Neptunus Klaipeda was back in 2016, the first year of the Basketball Champions League. We're talking players such as Jimmy Barron, who was almost a contender playing the NBA. The Lithuanian national team coach, I forgot his name, was a coach then. So if there was ever a year to beat Neptunus Klaipeda, it was that game. Because 4 years ago, I even think with this Lions squad they've got now would have struggled against a stronger Neptunus team. But, you know, Matthew Bryan came in with his double-double, got them in the penalty like 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. The thing with the Lions is they stayed in that 2-3 zone and killed them. They should have gone man-to-man because they've got the players that could have hung with them. And also substitution decisions in the end kind of did cost them a little bit. But to be honest, it was an exciting game of basketball to watch. The call didn't go their way, but, I mean, that's how it goes sometimes, you know?
Yeah. Definitely. So, through 1 to 8, who's everyone got making the playoffs this season?
Yes, this is the one that we did, right, Josh? I mean, Emma, how's things up there at the moment? Because I feel bad for you guys right now.
Oh, it's a really frustrating situation. I think Duncan's certainly shown it. I think they announced yesterday that they'll all be able to train indoors, but like socially distancing, because obviously some of the players are just arriving, so like they're having to self-isolate now. It's a really tricky situation they're in. You know?
Sure. I mean, we sort of did a similar thing where we predicted who wouldn't make the playoffs, and all of us said the same thing. It breaks my heart to say that Glasgow might be the guys at the foot of the table this year, and it upsets me on so many levels. Glasgow's such a great place for basketball. It always has been. Great fans up there. They always have put great teams together. But it's the coach that we're all rooting for, you know. What a horrible season to have to start your rookie year as a coach. And I mean, that guy, the head coach, that guy's a legend, hands down. The guy's an absolute legend. So, what a horrible year to start for Gareth Murray. And it's awful to sort of say, well, you know, you're up against it because they've gone. Were we saying the other day that they've pretty much gone all British as well?
Yeah.
No,
They haven't brought any Americans in, have they?
No.
Yeah, no, none, no.
No. They said they would do that in the summertime, though. Surprisingly. I don't think they can win like that.
I mean, it's great to see guys like Johnny Bunyan coming back because he's like a staple of Glasgow basketball. So you always want to see him in the roster. I really wish this wasn't the case, but it's just going to be a tough old year for Glasgow.
Definitely.
No, it all went downhill ever since they announced that Ali was leaving to go to France as well. That's where we were really like, right, we're in trouble here. So just got to wait and see. Got to just hope for the best, but that isn't looking good, as you said.
Yeah, so I think the teams that I picked were sadly Glasgow. I think I might have had Surrey in my 4 that didn't make it, and we were sort of teetering on Manchester. And who was the other one I predicted? Might have even been Worcester, you know.
You did say Worcester, yeah.
Did I say Worcester?
Yeah.
I've got Manchester. I've probably been a bit biased there, but I've got Manchester finishing in the last playoff spot because that's probably more me wanting that than it being realistic. But I'm going to stick with that. So.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
What about those Eagles, huh? Newcastle. They ain't going to be in the bottom half of the table, are they?
Oh, definitely not.
No, no way. I don't think Bristol will make it.
Well, Bristol.
Only because of the 4 guys that just left. I don't know. They might be in the bottom half, but I wouldn't bet on them being in the top half.
I mean,
to be fair,
you look at they've got a pretty long roster and there's some good names on there, and it's good that a couple of the guys have returned, and adding Josh Wiltshire to a team is always going to give you that boost with the intensity and whatnot. Bristol, I think that they're going to be, along with Manchester, that team that are fighting for that last spot, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're sorted though. You guys are going to be up at the top of the table, duking it out with London and Leicester. You
Yeah.
Newcastle guys.
Like,
So I saw Rex Luger joining the team. I was like, whoa, we're going to be quite high up here.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that the best name you've ever heard as well? Rex Fluger. Sounds like a wrestler.
Yeah, Eagles are good every year, really. I think it's a given that they'll be up there each season. But
saying that though, their head coach is under a bit of pressure. We talked to him a few weeks ago, didn't we, Josh? I mean, who'd want to fill Fab's boots? But I think that they've chosen the right guy to do so. I mean, the guy is Newcastle Eagles through and through, and I just know he's going to do a great job, and he deserves it.
Yeah, definitely.
So the league MVP then, what's everyone shouts for that?
What team do you guys think the MVP is going to be from, first of all?
That's
Before you throw in names.
Because you could pick the best team, best player, but necessarily it doesn't always mean an MVP in most cases. Because you could argue that, I don't know, let's say Andrew Lawrence has the season of his life, and I think Andrew Lawrence is arguably the best point guard in the British Basketball League. That's just my personal opinion. I know that because I played with him most of my life. But if London Lions sweep the season, do you automatically say best player has to be the MVP, or do you look at someone else and say, well, hold on, this player at this team's made a big impact in this team's? I mean, how do you go by who is the MVP? Is it statistically the best player, or is it the player who makes the biggest impact on their team?
I feel like if they sweep the season, it would be the best player on the best team. If they sweep it, like, you'd have to give it to the best player on that team.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think it'd be a top 3 team, maybe top 4 if the person on the 4th team has like a incredible season like Willie Clayton did a few years ago.
Yeah.
But finished higher. That guy was a beast. But yeah, I probably would say just because of matchups, well, Justin could probably get it again. That's really a big possibility. But also Brian Mullins in terms of matchups, just because of the way he plays. And there isn't and also like there isn't a lot of great bigs. Like, all the great bigs are on his team. In a sense, that's going to give him trouble. So he can shoot from outside, play inside. But even judging from their game against Neptunus, I wouldn't be surprised if Matthew won the MVP if he's that much of a bully inside. If he gets those kind of numbers on a regular basis, like because the team is so stacked, if he's playing inside a lot and they have shooters, you're gonna have so much space inside. And when you have players that can shoot, you have a lot of space inside. If he's gonna get those kind of minutes and they're gonna throw him the ball that much, he's gonna have a field there.
Yeah.
With his like favorite right hand hook. But yeah, I have it as a London's player. I don't know who would be. Like,
I mean, you haven't even mentioned DeAndre Liggins and Kevin Ware yet. I mean, that the MVP could be any number of guys.
Literally, even Dirk Williams as well. Like, like if he goes on a hot streak for a while, because like we saw him at Sheffield, like he can go. And now he's at a team where everyone else can go. He's not the focal point for everyone's defense because their team is so stacked. I don't see how it couldn't be anyone outside of that team. Just because they're all going to have so much freedom. It's the first time they're going to be in a team where they're not, like, where the defense is like, okay, everyone go stop Justin or Matthew or Dirk. Like, there's too many people to guard on that team where no one can even play help like that. Like, who are you really going to help off? If you're playing, like, defense, like, who are you going to help off? It's a long day. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a Lion, but I don't know which Lion it would be, if I'm honest with you.
Mo, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I've known Matthew Bryan a long time. He is a friend. And I would love him to win MVP. He probably wouldn't like me to celebrate it about so much because I do it all the time, especially when he played in Argentina. But if Matthew Bryan wins MVP, I will do a charity run from the Brixton Rec Centre to the Emirates Stadium in North London. So I will go from
listen, any one of them could win it.
Right, but I will wear a Matthew Bryan jersey on my back and I will sing his name when I run it as well. That's a guaranteed promise. So
all right, Josh, I raise you this then. I will run to Brixton from the Amici Centre.
If what?
Yeah.
The same as you.
Oh, what if Matthew wins MVP?
Yeah.
No, realistic, because I think he could. I agree with Mo. I would love Matthew Bryan to win the MVP, but if he does it, you will see me run in tiny compression shorts, long white socks, and Matthew Bryan jersey, NBA on the back, MVP, from the Brixton Rec Centre to the Emirates Stadium. And I'll run around the Emirates Stadium. I'll say West Ham's the best team in London, but I'll also shout the fact that Matthew Bryan is MVP.
Yeah, I mean, if he plays like he did against Neptune in the second half, very possible.
Definitely.
Very possible. But we'll see, innit? We'll see. Who knows?
Well, I think it's agreed it's got to be a lion. I think that's something we all kind of.
Definitely, yeah.
Could be a giant.
I'm not sure about that one. I really hope so, but
No, I'm joking around, man.
we'll see. So,
I mean, it's like you said, Mo. A couple of years ago, if Giants had a good run, made the playoffs, done something bigger than they actually did, Willie Clayton would have been right in the conversation. Because I mean, me and Marcel were lucky enough to get to see him play every week, and the guy was the beast. I mean, he I don't know what it was, but Marcel, you'll back me up with this one. When Willie wanted to, and he got the crowd into it as well, the place just went mad. He was just such a presence as a person as well as a player. But his season will sadly not be remembered for what it was because the team didn't succeed.
Well, it's like if he wanted to win, then we would win because he gets all the crowd involved. It was crazy. He was a crazy player. Like, he was phenomenal.
You know what was mad about him? You'd watch him play, and you'd be so intimidated, like as a fan or as a player. And then after the game, he's got his little dog, and they're wearing matching jackets or whatever. And I'm just like,
man.
Wow. Talk about a 180. Like, do you know what I mean? This guy is like a giant Hercules on the court, and he's got his little dog and he's stroking it and stuff after the game. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, what's the signing of the off season? I think this might be from the same team we've said for everything so far, but
maybe we should have said we're not allowed to include London Lions in any of the things.
Possibly.
You
just have to pick. I guess you've got to pick an American out of the Lions. Which one?
But it's someone in the Lions.
It's probably out of what? Ware, Liggins, and Mullins. So I guess it's your preference.
I'm gonna go. I'll say Liggins.
I'll say Liggins.
Liggins.
Yeah, I think it's got to be. There's another guy who I'm excited about. He's going to Cheshire, called Devin Mitchell.
Oh, yeah.
And he played on the same college team as Willie Clayton.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be a good player.
Yeah.
And then obviously... Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say that's too fair. The season goes ahead because at the minute we're awaiting government funding. I think that's what we're waiting on. But
Wilkins, Worcester.
Say what?
What about Henry Wilkins for Worcester? Awkward silence.
Go on then, tell us about Henry Wilkins.
This guy.
You know what it's like? Hey, we put up with this every show. Show. Last night, we signed in to do the Below the Rim podcast, and there's a guy there I've never even seen in my life. I was like, who's that? And I hadn't seen the message saying, oh, we've got a special guest tonight. I thought I signed into the wrong one.
Henry's an old teammate of mine. I was only joking. But no, one player. I know we've all talked about Lions players. And again, just to keep the interest in what we're talking about, one combo I'm actually interested in seeing is how Ashley Hamilton and Andrew Lawrence played together at Plymouth, because those are two GB players right there. Don't get me wrong. I'm just as excited as you guys when we heard the fact of Kevin Ware, Liggins, all these big names. But you look around the league, I'm also very interested to see what Sam Cassell Jr. is going to be like for the Manchester Giants. I think that will be a big signing. But, I mean, I remember speaking to my dad. My dad has been involved with the British Basketball probably the 1980s. And I said, I don't think there's ever been an off season where so many new signings have come in. I mean, it's so busy. It's almost like you could pick any team and be excited about any new player that's coming in, of course.
True. It's true.
Yeah, well,
So true.
speaking of a combo, the two people I'm interested to see, which is in Manchester, how Jack Hudson and Jordan fare together, because I think the signing of Jack Hudson's gone a bit under the radar, because I don't think many people appreciated what he did. Even though the Giants went winless last season, he did a lot for us, especially on the defensive end. So I'm interested to see what that will be like this year, especially Jordan coming in as well.
I mean, we talked about this last night, didn't we, Josh? About Jordan and how this is a big deal for him because he's coming home. He was with Giants a couple of years ago, briefly, towards the end of the season. And he's gone off around the league and played at Worcester and London. And he will have learned so much playing with the players he's played with, and especially with the coach, with Vince down in London. And he had guys like Ovi Soko to learn from last year. And it's like he's going to come back to Manchester ready to step it up a notch and become a really, really important part of the rotation. The only thing that I was confused about was that I think Danny already said in a statement that Jack's going to be the starting point guard. Yeah. And then you've got Sam Cassell Jr. playing the two guard. And it's like, where does that kind of leave Jordan? Because he's not big enough to play 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah.
So maybe he becomes a 6-man that gives some big minutes, sort of 25 minutes a game, gives you 10 points.
Sorry, real quick. And sorry to cut you off, Adam.
Okay.
And everyone, please challenge me on this because I'm not right. It's just my opinion. But what Adam's just said, we did discuss this last night. And what disappoints me about that is, Jordan's had a better professional career. Okay, I've played against Jack Hudson. Jack Hudson is a good basketball player. He's a good person as well. He's a good athlete. And, there's a lot he can definitely offer the Manchester Giants. But for someone to go public and say he's going to be our starting point guard because he's been here. I'm sorry, but Jack Hudson's had a way better career in the British basketball. I'm sorry, Jordan's had a better career in the British basketball. Playing for Worcester. Also played 4th division in Germany. Had a brief time at the London Lions. Okay, it was okay. But you're going to take someone who's had less experience and to say he's going to be our starter. I don't think that sends a good message. Okay, you need to get these guys in training camp and to thoroughly analyze as a coach who's going to get us off to a good start. Okay, but for me personally, I wouldn't go public and make that announcement. I get them into training camp, see who would work the system a lot better, see who's going to be better in the backcourt, and then make the judgment. I mean, it's almost like the Orlando Magic when they drafted Penny Hardaway and they kept Scott Skiles as the starting point guard and slowly brought Penny into the system. I'm sure back then the coaching staff weren't saying out loud in the Orlando Sentinel, oh, well, we got Penny in, we had to trade Chris Webber to get him, but we're not going to start him. You've got to analyze what's there. You can't just say we're going to start one or the other. Because what if they get into training camp and Jordan's looking like the better player than Jack? Because then that's going to go against your word.
Yeah.
You've got to you as a coach, you have to put your philosophy in and see which player fits that philosophy much better. So that's why I'm just a bit disappointed by those comments.
It's a rookie mistake, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very odd one to announce who is going to be in your starting 5 before you've even practiced. Now, the problem that the Giants have got is that they're now in that position, and players will hear this stuff and read this stuff, and Jordan will be sat there thinking, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to start or am I going to be the 6th man? But here's the interesting thing. Giants have got the biggest roster that they've had for the past few years. All 12 spots have now been filled. What they've got, though, is only one guy that's a true BBL player, and that's Jordan, okay? Yeah. Because Jack Hudson and David Ulf came in mid-season last year, and they made that huge jump from D2 into the BBL. And both played really well. I mean, Jack Hudson held his own against some pretty amazing point guards last year. And like you said, he was a great part of the team. I mean, the weight he had on his shoulders was huge. I mean, what a situation to have to come to. Ulf, it's slightly different because he's huge. Yeah, he's 6'9". He's a big guy. And from the little video they put out, he's been working on his body strength so that he can match up against the other big guys. Okay, but what Josh has said before as well is that you're going from practicing a couple of nights a week with National League to practicing every night for BBL, and then having a grueling game every week or 2 games, it's a big step up. So looking down the roster, whilst they've got 4 Americans and a European that all look like they're going to be good players, Jordan Whelan's actually the only guy that we can say has got a lot of BBL experience. So that's why another reason I'd be saying, well, it's a no-brainer for me. Jordan is going to be part of my starting rotation.
It was a weird one as well, because even how the Giants promoted when they signed or announced the signing, it was so
Jack, he's coming home.
Yeah, you'd think that he was starting because of the way he announced it. It was so, he made such a big deal out of it that you'd assume that. And I'm assuming they wouldn't bench any of their imports. So yeah, I don't know what the plan.
You never know. You really never know. It's much the comparison that Josh gave there with Anthony Hardaway. I mean, a lot of people forget that Kobe Bryant's rookie season, he was coming off the bench, and if you look at his stats for that year, he wasn't playing huge minutes, and I think his average was under 10 points a game. So Kobe Bryant, one of the greatest players that's ever played this game, he had his first year sort of easing his way into the NBA. And remember, he was a young guy. He was 18 when he got into the league. So yeah, it's a similar sort of thing. They didn't just get him and go, well, we've got the best high school player in America coming to the team. He's now going to be a starter. No, he was 6th or 7th down the bench. It takes time. And then look what happened. Kobe goes on to be one of the greatest players we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Definitely a rookie mistake. But the combo I'm excited about is William Lee and Jordan Matthews at the Riders.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, they have a good team anyway, but just watching those two play and pick roles or whatever would be pretty fun. Pretty fun for sure.
100%.
You say Jordan Matthews?
Yeah, Jordan Matthews and William Lee.
Yeah, hasn't he? I think I saw someone saying he's gone back to the US now because of the draft or something. I think.
No.
Oh, yes. I think you got a point.
Yeah.
I heard about this.
Oh,
Yeah, apparently. So what happened apparently was because this guy was potential.
He was in the G League for a while.
Yeah. Apparently, at the last minute, his agent got in touch saying, okay, we're going to have to pull out of this because you're probably going to end up getting drafted.
Oh, wow.
But at the same time, it's disappointing. But at the same time, it's actually a great thing for it. It's a great thing for the league, though, because it's like, oh, well, we've lost a player that was coming to play in the BBL because he's been drafted to go to the NBA. I mean, that's quite a cool thing, and just shows the standard of players that's starting to come through.
The guy that replaced him with not too bad still. Gino Crandall, I think is. I think that's him. Yeah.
The talent that the BBL signed this offseason is actually incredible.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Marcel,
ridiculous.
I've got a trivia question for you guys. Adam, you know the answer to this.
Oh, go on.
Name a British Basketball League player who's played in an NBA Finals.
Couldn't even tell you.
There's actually a couple, but I'm going to think the more recent one. 1993.
I don't have a clue.
Mm.
I'm not sure.
Richard Dumas, the starting power forward or small forward for the Phoenix Suns.
Wow.
Played for the Derby Storm in 2001.
Oh, wow.
Serious?
Yeah. And furthermore...
Trust you to know that.
In the series that Josh is talking about, he actually did a number on Michael Jordan as well. He was he wasn't just in the finals; he was an essential part to that Phoenix team.
Yeah. There's an NBA champion as well. Actually, see, when I did the history of it for the Lions in 1979, the Washington or Baltimore Bullets, whoever they won, one of their players played for like the Hemel Royals.
I mean, Josh, I hate to get braggadocious here, but the Manchester Giants have got an NBA champion coach in his rookie season with the Toronto Raptors. Nick Nurse was the coach of the Giants. And furthermore,
Phil Handy,
my buddy Phil Handy, played for the Giants. and he is in the NBA Finals for, I believe, the third straight season.
Six
Yeah,
straight time.
he's going to run out of fingers, Phil Handy, for all these rings.
Terrell Myers to win the league.
Oh, he always says this. Little in joke there, guys. Yeah, it's Josh's catchphrase because he knows. Yeah. But anyway, Newcastle.
We're like the granddads of this group because
Yeah, that's right.
we go way back. But
Newcastle have a very good squad.
Yeah.
They
Right, so
signed a lot of talent.
Newcastle Eagles, you're being a bit quiet down there. Talk us through your team because you've got a nice roster built up there as well. Who are you looking forward to seeing, man?
Oh, well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Evan Maxwell's play. I've been looking at some of his highlights and he looks like a beast. Same with Rex. Edward, definitely. I can't believe it was his rookie season last season with Worcester. It's pretty unbelievable how he plays at such a good standard. And that was his rookie season last season. It was good to see some usual players coming in like Fletcher, Drew and Darius. Great to see them back as usual. Just Yabantu and Sevilla. I'm glad to see them back. Good to see some youth players coming back and doing what they're supposed to do. And just being there on the team, it's good to definitely see the future of the Eagles just right there. See, there's loads of players in the academy that are ready to head up into the BBL. But overall, I think our team is definitely up to standards of what I was thinking.
And you've got the great Ramon Fletcher as well.
Yeah. Ramon, I don't really know how to explain him, but he's just one of the best players, personally best PG in the BBL.
Fair point.
That guy doesn't get old. He doesn't get old. He ages like wine.
He's amazing.
It's crazy how good he is. To this day, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, Newcastle, I always enjoyed Newcastle games because Newcastle obviously came to be a team when me and Josh first started watching British basketball in the 90s. And Fab is such a big part of the BBL history. And I think he's going to go on to do similar things to what Nick Nurse has done, where he's now got to the NBA. He's going to have a couple of seasons, maybe as a backbench coach. Then he'll do what Phil Handy's done, gone to a big team, frontline assistant coach. And then who knows, he'll become a head coach. So it's just such an amazing story because, I mean, Fab, I remember watching Fab in probably, when did he come over, Josh? 94, 95?
Came with, you know what's funny? He came with Nick Nurse with the USA select team in 94. And then Nurse and Fab got selected to go for coach and player for Birmingham Bullets.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy. Wow.
You know what's a funny story?
The thing I loved as well was that when he went over to the States and left Newcastle, I saw that it was on the news up there in Newcastle as well because he's just such a huge part. Like basketball, sometimes it's considered like this sport that not a lot of people know about, but everybody in Newcastle seemingly knew who Fab was, even if they weren't into basketball. Yeah. And I loved it, and you could see how emotional he was about leaving the club. The guy's a legend, and Hall of Fame all day.
So good to see him just go with Nick Nurse to the Raptors. I just think it's great to see people like that going up into the NBA from the BBL. It's quite an honour, really, to see people like that just from the BBL, where we're from, go up to the Toronto Raptors, which is in the NBA. Yeah,
and I mean, he's had to, obviously it's a disappointment that they went out of the playoffs, but, what a great first season for him. Yeah. But the thing that gets me, guys, can you imagine the conversation on the private planes flying around? Nick Nurse and Fab will probably sit there talking about BBL days.
Yeah, that would be.
I mean, you need to see if you can tap Fab up and get him on a podcast.
I guess we can try.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marcus Ananobi also plays for Raptors. He's a Bret.
Yeah, he was born in London, wasn't he?
Yeah. So
And Usai Majiri as well was born in Bournemouth and played in the National Basketball League for Solent Stars as well. So there's 3 people there that represent English basketball, if you like.
yeah.
It's crazy.
But what does everyone think of Cameron Hildreth going to Wake? Because that came out, was it this week? That was
He was like last week, yeah. That guy is the truth, man.
well, when he came and played against Manchester, killed us. But he's very good player, amazing player.
I'm not
The first time I watched him play. Nah, sorry, go on, Josh.
No, go. No, you go.
No, I'm good, bro. Go.
Off this.
The first time I watched him play, I think he was in year 11. And he just I didn't know who he was. I was just like, this kid is way better than anybody his age on the court at that time. So it's not a surprise to see him do all the things he's doing from that one time I saw him play.
Yeah, he's amazing, especially at his age.
I mean,
But I'm not surprised he's as good as player as he is, because when I first saw him, it was the highlights that Hoopfix did for him when he played in Lithuania for Barking Abbey in that tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And,
okay.
Yeah, and it was just you can't really assess a player based on a highlight mix. But when you watch his individual skill, for a player to break defenders down one-on-one like that, it caught my eye. But then when I found out he was the son of, what's his dad's name? He used to play for the Bears.
Oh,
Danny Hildreth, wasn't it?
Danny Hildreth. Is it Danny? They just did a podcast.
Daniel, yeah.
Yeah. So Danny Hildreth played for the Brighton Bears in the late 90s, early 2000s, just before Nick Nurse went there to be the head coach of Randy Duck. And he was pretty tough as nails point guard. So it's no surprise to see Cameron be so strong at not only for his skill set, but his basketball IQ, because he's grown up with the game of basketball. Yeah. So it's a generation of being passed on. But I think Cameron Hildreth already now is a professional basketball player with just how he plays and how he sees the game. So would not be surprised after 4 years he makes a very good living out playing professional basketball.
Yeah, I mean he could be the guy that ends up entering the draft after 4 years. I think he'll play all 4 years. I don't think that he's going to end up coming out after say 2 years to enter the draft, because he's got his dad as a mentor who will be saying to him, no, not yet. You know what I mean? But I mean, to go to Wake and you think about the guys that have played there before. I mean, this is big time college basketball. He's going to rub shoulders with the likes of Tim Duncan, who probably returns there to work with the team, work out with the team. There's a lot of pro players do over there with their colleges. So I mean, he's going to be getting knowledge from NBA royalty going to that school. So it's huge. It's really big.